There we go. We're back.
There we go. We're back, buddy. I think we had a small drop with the connection, with the Wi-Fi connection.
No problem.
I think we're back. We're back, buddy.
All right.
Let's go ahead. Yeah, I think.
So why don't I just start with the exercise piece? Like you asked me about exercise, and I think that's where we got cut off. So, and I'm sort of glancing over and scanning on Facebook to see if I can find some questions from people. But in general, when we talk about exercise and immune system health, we can think about it this way. It's like a J-shaped curve. And what that means is that if you get no exercise whatsoever, you're at a greater risk of getting sick. If you get a moderate amount of exercise, your risk for both infectious disease and chronic disease goes down. If you do too much exercise, your risk actually goes up again. So we know that if we get a moderate amount of exercise, so 30 to 60 minutes a day, that we have 75% fewer colds and flus. Very powerful information for us. We also know that it doesn't need to be very hard. The exercise doesn't need to be hard, and it doesn't need to be for a long time. 15 minutes of exercise a day cuts the risk of breast cancer and colon cancer 24 to 40%. So a little bit of walking, a little bit of yoga, all of that will do wonders for you, and then be consistent, and that will give you the best chance of not getting colds, flus, infectious diseases, but then also decreasing the risk for cancer, cardiovascular disease, mental health challenges like depression and anxiety. Exercise is a really powerful tool for everybody in this time.
But exercise during lockdown, if people give an excuse, they could do home-based workouts. You know, they could start with a 20-minute jog around their house. It could be even the smallest of things, isn't it, Greg? It doesn't have to be like a 30 to 60 minute of proper, back home, people are used to working out at the gyms. Exercise is synonymous with, with gymming. But that's not the point, isn't it? So if you could elaborate on that, it will be a lot, it will be helpful for people back home.
Sure. Yeah. So we've got three different things to think about. Our general physical activity, how much we move during the course of the day. That includes things like housework, walking, gardening, anything where you're just sort of moving your body and not sitting down like I'm doing right now. So like just basically not this. All of that has wonderful benefits for the human body. The human body is designed to be moving. And so sitting, we know, is an independent risk factor for getting chronic diseases. So the more that you are not moving, the worse it gets. It
could be as simple as a 30-minute brisk walk, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It could be as simple as that.
100%. Like an easy, doesn't even need to be brisk. Just walk. Just don't sit on your couch. If you want to go faster, that's great. If there's a hill near your house or some stairs, even better. Yoga, you can do that in your living room.
It was amazing.
Wonderful.
It was amazing. I love that.
Fantastic, right? That's an amazing thing. Even meditation is incredible for you. It's a workout for your mind. That's also very, very important for us to consider right now. And there are all sorts of videos on YouTube now that you can do for home-based workouts. There's a company in North America called Lululemon. So if you look up Lululemon, Lululemon, they have yoga workouts. They have home workouts with no weights where you can do something in your living room. There's so much out there right now for you to be active. We set up an obstacle course in my house for my children. They had to go over the dining room table, over the couch, jump on some pillows, like skipping. Like we turned my house into a gymnasium, and my children were going in crazy. And then an hour later, they were exhausted and they went to sleep, and I could actually talk to my wife. So you can be creative with this as well, but we're not using this as an excuse not to be active. Now is more important than ever for us to be active and to get some exercise.
Exactly. Exercise. And now coming back to the diet and the eating habits, this is a very important point, because we, as we've been locked down right now, and people tend to have the habit of snacking without physical activity. That's going to be so hard on your immune system. So what is your take on intermittent fasting during lockdown?
I think it's a lovely idea. I'm actually trying to practice intermittent fasting right now. So let's take a step back and consider the research on intermittent fasting. I think many groups around the world have practiced fasting for thousands of years. So it's part of human culture. And I think that that's really good for us to understand. There was a really interesting study that was done on people who are fasting for Ramadan. And when that was done, so it's 12 and 12, you eat when the sun is down, you you don't eat when the sun is up, and as a result, you have 12 hours of fasting and then 12 hours of eating, which is different from what we normally do. Normally, we fast when we're asleep for 8 hours and then eat for 16. So this was 12 and 12, and there was a 30 to 50% reduction in inflammatory markers, which is very important because inflammation is associated with Alzheimer's disease, cancer, cardiovascular disease, depression, altered immune function states. So with that 30 to 50% drop in immune function, in inflammatory markers, that was great. That was wonderful for us. And that persisted for weeks after the fasting was over. So I think that there's some very good research over and over and over again in cultures around the world that shows that fasting can be beneficial for us. And two types, there's calorie restriction, so just eating a little bit less, and time restricted eating, which is eating within a certain period of time, which is what people think of as intermittent fasting. More research has been done that shows that 16-8 is also good. So you fast for 16 hours, eat within an 8-hour window. That seems to have even more benefits. And if you add intermittent fasting to exercise, the benefits are even greater. So right now, what I'm trying to do is just to eat breakfast later on. So it's bright early morning here in Canada. The sun is coming up. I'm having some black coffee with coconut oil, and this is what I'm having for breakfast. I will have lunch at probably 11 a.m. I will have dinner around 5, and then that's it. So that's what we're trying to do. And the benefits of intermittent fasting have shown to have increased BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, better autophagy, which is the body's ability to repair and regenerate all of the tissues inside the body. So there's a lot of benefits that are coming out in the research right now. So now is a good time to explore intermittent fasting. If you want to give it a shot.
The basic point is eat less during lockdown, because you don't have much physical activity like how it used to. We are accustomed to physical activity. Isn't that so, Greg? So
I agree, Ashwin. Yeah, for sure. Eat a little bit less and get more physical activity. I noticed also, and apologize for cutting you off there. Like before this lockdown happened, I was all over the city. I was going to meetings. I was on airplanes. I was lifting bags. I was running up and down stairs in offices. And so I sat down in the first week or two in lockdown. I didn't even realize it, but my step count, because I'm tracking my steps, went from about 15 to 20,000 a day down to about 3,000 a day. And so it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not moving at all. So that's when I really started to train a lot harder. I've been running on the treadmill. I've been taking the children outside, and we do sprints and intervals on the street outside my house, no cars. And so now more than ever, be careful of what you're eating. I know people are stressed. I know people are worried. I know that they're anxious, which means that you tend to eat a lot more. But now's the time to pay attention to your nutrition and still try to find ways of getting physical activity. Back over to you, Ashwin.
Exactly. And you said you're having coffee with some coconut oil. Coconut oil has been a part of our diet for many, many years. And what's your take on the diet? What kind of foods should people be taking right now? And what are the foods which people should avoid right now?
So I think that in terms of nutrition, it's a universal human truth around the world. Whenever we look at any culture that has a healthy lifestyle, it's always very consistent. It's mostly plants. We're eating a diet that's mostly based on plants. We're eating the rainbow of colors, anywhere from white, yellow, orange, red, green, purple vegetables. Spices are wonderful. Healthy fats like olive oil from the Mediterranean or coconut oil from Southeast Asia. All are really, really good for us. Nuts and seeds are quite good for us. If you do eat meat, and you don't have to, but for anyone that is, we do here have a little bit of meat from time to time, but we've got to be careful of what the animal was fed. If the animal was fed bad food, it's going to be bad for you. If the animal was fed good food, it's going to be reasonably good for you. So pay attention to that. If you're eating meat, you don't have to. And so it's not rocket science, Ashwin. We know what healthy eating is. Exactly. We know what junk food is. That is not what we want to be having right now. You can have a treat from time to time, no big deal. But if you're having junk food every day, if you're having packaged foods every day, that is going to be sweets every single day. That is going to be a problem for you, especially now when we're super stressed and maybe not getting as much exercise as we normally do. So lots of plants, eat the rainbow, very little processed foods, and I think you're going to win most of the battles when it comes to nutrition.
Yeah, that sounds good, buddy. And if you look at a standard Indian diet, for example, turmeric, ginger, and green leafy vegetables has been a part of a standard Indian diet, right? So, and if you look at the context of immunity, and these are the fundamental foods which are very important for the immunity. right?
Yeah, I would defer to. I would actually love to get your thoughts on that because I know that cinnamon, turmeric, curcumin, ginger, any sort of spice that has high color and is full of polyphenols and flavonoids. I mean, that has effects on the human body. We're just barely beginning to understand. So, like, I would love from your perspective to know what is it about the Indian diet that's so healthful for us, because I would love to share that with everyone in my community here in North America. So what is it, Ashwin, about the Indian diet that's so healthful for us and really important right now in this era where we need to be thinking about our immunity? I'll throw it back and ask you the question.
Exactly. See, Greg, if you actually look back, thousands of years ago, we've been having not exactly. See, okay, let me break it down. Let me make it simple. You've been here with me back in India. If you actually look at a standard Indian preparation, turmeric is a part of it. Ginger is a part of it, onions are a part of it, and obviously the other spices, right? So these are all a part of it. And if you actually look back at the history of pandemics, except the Spanish flu, India has been the country which has been least affected by infections, even infections. Natural immunity of an Indian person or an Asian. I'm not going to include the Chinese right now because because of the Wuhan thing. But if you actually look at it, the natural levels of immunity are very high. An average Indian doesn't fall sick as often as any other person. So I would attribute that to turmeric, obviously. And have you heard about a concoction called rasam? I think I did give you a glass. Okay, rasam is a concoction.
You gave me many concoctions, Ashwin. I have no idea what I don't know what I had when I was with you. So
exactly.
You probably did.
So the point is, if you follow the standard Indian diet, which is rich in turmeric, ginger, onions, obviously a little bit of garlic here and there, these foods have researchers, showing that they have direct impact on your immune system. They actually enhance your immune system to fight not just viruses, any kind of infection. So that's the point. When you actually look at this coronavirus pandemic, what exactly does it teach people, Greg, in context with eating? I want to ask you this question because
yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's funny. Like, I'm trying to get you to answer questions and you're trying to get me to answer questions. So we're going to just sort of play tennis here for a minute.
Because we want to give people as much as information possible. We want to spread, positivity. We want to give them the right facts. We want to give them hope, right? So because
That's right.
the way the world is going right now, there are not many people who actually give the right information. And that's the point,
Yeah, no,
so we both are equally enthusiastic in sharing what we know to people.
It's so fun. So what can we think about? All of those things you just mentioned. We know what healthy food is, fresh food that you've made yourself. Look at traditional cultures around the world and the healthy foods that people eat. In those traditional cultures, Asian cuisine, Southeast Asian cuisine, Mediterranean cuisine is incredible. West Indian cuisine in North America is fantastic. It's only when we get into the highly processed foods, the foods that come out of boxes, or the fast foods that are sold to us, that we begin to get sick. And as those foods are getting into India, China, Brazil, Malaysia, Kenya, Canada, the United States, the UK, we're getting very, very sick. And so this is not just sick in terms of chronic diseases like obesity, cardiovascular disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, and depression. This is also in terms of our ability to just generally stay healthy and avoid, colds and flus. So we are looking to, as you said, eat a lot of plants, eat lots of different spices, eat healthy fats, healthy sources of protein, and minimize those processed foods. And if we do all of those things, then I think we're going to be in a great place, which means for everybody watching right now that one of the things that you can do is actually go through your house, find the junk food, find the things that are bad for you, and get rid of them. It's okay to not have them in your house. As my dear friend, Dr. John Berardi says, if it's in your house, you or someone that you love will eventually eat it. So get rid of it. We've done that in my house. The junk food is gone. We are eating incredibly healthy right now. When this is all over, we'll definitely go out and have some sweets and enjoy ourselves a little bit to celebrate. But then we're going to go back and just try to stay as healthy as we can, as consistently as we can. This is not complicated. If anyone's trying to make nutrition complicated for you, they're probably trying to sell you something. So we don't need to do something. We don't need to do that. We know what's good for us. Eat the good food.
Less processed food, cut sugar, exercise 30 minutes a day, Eat real food.
Done. Like we could literally just repeat that over and over and over again for an hour, Ashwin, and be like, that's all you got to do. And someone would be like, well, what about this? Be like, eat real food that you recognize as food, get lots of sleep, get some exercise every single day. And here's the other thing, Ashwin, getting into mental health that was been shown around the world in the research by Dan Buettner, who did the Blue Zones research. They went around the world and found the locations, the communities where people have the highest chances of living to be 100 years of age or older. So if anyone wants to look that up, it's the Blue Zones. Just search that up. And there's a consistent pattern around the world for people who live a very long time. And it's all the things that we just spoke about. But the other one is community. And this is a time when we are being asked to physically distance ourselves from others, but it's also a time when we should be very deeply socially connected. And so like you and I right now are having an incredible hour connecting and talking, but we're doing it from around the world on a video platform. This might be an opportunity for people to send some WhatsApp messages to people and just express their love or thanks. And it might be a chance for grandparents to talk to the grandkids on FaceTime or whatever video chat system that you happen to be using. But we need to be more socially connected, but while maintaining this physical distancing. And I think that's one of the interesting things I've also seen in this pandemic is that social media, even a month ago, was very negative.
Exactly.
Very, very hard. And now it's very positive. People are supporting each other. People are encouraging each other. People are giving. People are sending out things that are funny. And so I really want us to pay attention to positivity and build positivity into our lives and get rid of anything that's negative. If people are bringing you down, if people are telling you you can't do something, if people are trying to sell you something that's bad for you, this is the time to clean all of that out of your life. We don't need it. It's not helping us. Let's all chart a path forwards together that is relentlessly positive to build a new world that's better than the old one. That's what I hope happens.
No, that's amazing, right? So that should be the crux of it. And Greg, see, if you actually see the number of infections all over the world, it's directly correlated to the immunity. So can we talk a little bit about immuno regeneration right now? Because this is a good time. Yes, obviously lockdown, there is a negative side to the lockdown. People can't go out much. They can't be free. They can't do the things what they've been doing for a long time, or they can't do the things what they've been doing all these years. But this 45 to 50 days, whatever, it's different all around the world. But this is the time we can actually take control of our body, of our immunity, of our mind, and most importantly, the relationships, what we really want to, improve upon. Isn't that so? Can you just throw some light on that, Greg, especially on immuno regeneration and how this lockdown can be used for immuno regeneration?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of my PhD students who just finished up, Dr. Jillian White, did her research on cancer patients, and she studied immune function as it relates to stress. And what she found is in patients with cancer, children, because I do kids research, who had received chemotherapy or radiation, obviously their immune system was different. And then she explored what's the effect of stress on that immune system. And then we understood stress generally as it relates to immune function. So that's sort of how I'm going to answer your question. We know that stress has a positive effect on the immune system. It makes your immune system stronger in the moment, like instantaneously. If you're instantaneously stressed, white blood cells get dumped into your blood to fight off a possible invader. Like let's say we think we might get into a fight, you might get a cut, so the immune system gets ready to fight invaders out of that cut. If, however, you are consistently stressed over time, your immune system gets depleted. And that's when you are at risk of infections, colds, flus, coronavirus. That's when your immune system gets depressed and can't fight off cancer. So we need to be very careful right now to manage our stress. How do we do that? That's things like getting a great night's sleep. That's things like paying attention to breathing when you feel tense, listening to beautiful music in your home, turning your phones off for an hour a day to make sure that you have a chance to unplug and connect with the people that you love the most. That's making sure that you get exercise, because we know that exercise strengthens our immune function and keeps us from getting sick. This is the time for us to meditate and do little things like I'm lucky I have access to acupuncture, but like all these little tiny things strengthen our immune system. And now is the time for us to recover, to regenerate, to heal, to work on ourselves, to be better people, to build better, stronger relationships, clean up the relationships of the past. Like, this is our chance. We have the time. We're not commuting to and from work as much as we were before here. I know that, you're in lockdown as well. So we've got time. We have the space. Our habits have been wiped clean. The routines are no longer happening. So we can do it all over from scratch. Like, let's fix ourselves in this time when we can do so. Yeah.
That's beautifully said. Fix ourselves. Take the time to fix ourselves first. And you know what, Greg? This is the paradox. People keep complaining that they don't have time. And when they actually have time, they really don't know what to do with the time.
Right. Yes. And initially it's you literally don't know what to do, which is why we spend too much time watching Netflix here in Canada, going on and scrolling through social media mindlessly just to kill the time. Now's when you can read the books that you've always wanted to read. Now's when you can go online and take the course that you wanted to read. I'm studying photography right now just to sort of learn something new. Now's the time when you can call an old friend and reconnect, find out what they're up to, because I can guarantee you they're looking for something to do as well, right? So, we have the time. Let's use it for the things that we want. So also what people can do, if you're watching, is let's think a year from now. What would you look back on this time and wish that you have done? And let's start doing that.
Exactly.
Would you wish that you had called your friends? Would you have wished that you had learned something? Would you wish that you would maybe have gotten into yoga or learned how to meditate better, or any of these, read that book that's sitting on your bookshelf? Like, this is our time. We have the time. Let's do it. Let's take this time and make ourselves better, not just sit around and waste this opportunity. Because, and I don't want to make this seem like it's a good thing. Obviously, people are sick. People are going to die. Yeah. But humans adapt to difficult situations, and it's how you adapt that determines how you are going to end up on the other side of this. And I want all of us to adapt positively and do better. And I think that we can do that by doing all the things you and I have been talking about for the last hour.
And I would like to add a couple of points to that. And spend time with children. If you have children, spend time with children. Learn from them. And number two, if you have parents, spend time with them as well. And if you feel that you have neglected somebody or some portion of your life, please try to regenerate that, that part of your life. That's pretty important. It could be anything, it could be children, it could be friends, it could be parents, whatever. Isn't that so, right?
It is, Ashwin. It can be whatever. It can be fix your business, fix your spend time with your children. I'm spending a lot of time with my kids right now. It's very cool. I'm still working from home, but when I'm done at 5:00, I'm downstairs. I'm spending 3 hours with them every single night. Spending a little bit more time with Judith, my wife, and just sitting at the end of the day and talking. It's great. We actually have the time to do that. We're not exhausted from our normal routines. So now is the time. Think about what it is that you want to get better at. And every single day, spend a little bit of time on that. 1% of your day is 15 minutes. Imagine if we dedicated 1% of our day consistently for the next 6 months, you would not recognize yourself at the end of all of this with how much you've improved.
So that's amazing, isn't that? 1% of the day, just 15 minutes. If you could spend on what you really want to improve upon, that's going to yield massive results.
Of course. And, sort of like the coronavirus has hit us in an exponential way. It sort of doubled from 2 cases to 4 to 8 to 16 to 30, it's exponentially getting bigger. We can have those same exponential benefits for ourselves. Imagine if you meditated for 15 minutes every single day for 6 months. What would your mind be like? If you walked for 15 minutes a day, how would your cardiovascular fitness be? If you ate 1% fewer calories, which is 20 calories, it's not very, very little, but if you did that over the course of a year, you'd lose a couple pounds instead of gaining a couple pounds. We just need to be consistent, and it doesn't need to be massive changes. These little tiny changes consistently over time is what wins and what enables us to be much, much better in the end.
And coming back to the corona pandemic right now, it is not going to kill a lot of people. Yes, it is going to take some lives, but the actual numbers are not going to be as scary as projected. So we've already started seeing the dip a little bit. So that's a sign of hope. So I think people should stop worrying about corona right now, and they should move on. They should look beyond corona, and they should start spending time on things what they want. As you rightly said, just put things away, which is going to keep reminding you of Corona over and over again, and start focusing on things what can help you improve your life, and whatever can propel you in the direction of hope and goodness.
I agree, Ashwin. Well said. I agree with everything you just said. That's a great way to summarize things. Completely support that idea.
So, and Greg, thank you so much. And for people who want to follow Greg, he's got an Instagram page. He's got his own Facebook page. You guys can go follow Greg. Greg is just not a scientist. He's an amazing human being. And most importantly, people who want to improve your performance as a human being. And he's the cutting edge scientist for that, guys. I think you should follow him on that. And so happy. எல்லாரும் பார்த்தவங்க எல்லாருக்கும் ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம். தப்பா எடுத்துக்க வேண்டாம், கான்வர்சேஷன் இங்கிலீஷ்ல போச்சுன்னு. கண்டிப்பா இதை வந்து தமிழ்ல நான் வந்து என்னென்ன பேசணுன்றத நான் ரீடூ பண்றேன். பிளஸ் த பாயிண்ட் இஸ், Greg, be happy, be hopeful, get rid of the old habits, what you want to get rid of. Start becoming proactive about improving yourself as a human being, and most importantly, be in a positive frame of mind. There's so much negativity around us in so many forms. We constantly bombarded with so much information about this corona pandemic, so many wrong things about the corona pandemic, which instills and grows the fear in people. I think we should just stop listening to anything in context with, yes, as you said, we should be informed about what's happening in context with corona, but don't get carried away by that, and focus on the controllables, focus on controlling the fundamentals, focus on things which is going to better us as a human being. As we all know, pandemics come, but still humans do survive. As a race, we've survived more than 1,000 pandemics over the last 3,500 years. Corona is no different, right? And with the proper actions taken by the government and the guidelines, I think we have fought the war well so far, and I'm sure we're going to come out of this strong in the upcoming weeks and months.
I agree, Ashwin. Thank you for having me on your channel. Best of luck to everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe, and can't wait to see you in person very, very soon.
Thank you so much, and namaste from India.
Yeah, namaste, Ashwin. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.